reason for the delay to England's roadmap out of coronavirus restrictions is to ensure that more people have both doses of the vaccine before life returns to pre-pandemic normality, PPN. Let's look at the numbers, shall we? So far, more than 41 million people have had a first vaccine dose. That's 78% of the adult population. And almost 30 million have had a second. The number of first doses administered each day is now averaging more than 170,000. That's a drop from an average of around 500,000 in mid-March as the schedule of second doses kicks in. An average of just below 300,000 second doses are now being given each day. Let's speak to Jamie Jenkins, who's former head of health statistics at the Office for National Statistics and has been poring over all the latest vaccination data for us. Good morning to you, Jamie.
Good morning.
So in mid-March, the average was around 500,000. Right now it's 300,000. Why has it tapered off?
Yeah, I think what we've seen, Asma, is that there was that big push at the start to get kind of the vaccine rollout going. And as it's kind of gone down the different age groups, you're probably finding that people who are younger, there might be some more hesitancy towards having the vaccine. So there might be kind of appointments being made, but not as many turning up. But I think it's still a bit of an interesting saga that's going on at the moment, because part of the reason for the delay in England that Boris Johnson was announcing yesterday was because they wanted to get more vaccines into people's arms. Now, the Indian variant or the Delta variant we've known about now for about 6 or 7 weeks in the Northwest. And the national figures that you just quoted, if you look within the Northwest itself, where they did say several weeks ago that they were going to speed up the vaccine rollout, I can't see in the data any speeding up of the vaccine rollout in the Northwest at all. So it's kind of tapered off. It's not like it was several months ago. And it's a bit of a puzzle as to why they keep saying they need to speed the vaccine rollout, but we're not seeing that in the actual data itself.
So do you think that that is down to, and I'm asking you to speculate here, sorry about that, is this down to hesitancy? Is it down to the system, or is it down to supply again?
I would imagine it's a mixture of all three, but I think the most important statistics really are, and you had Michael Gove on talking earlier on about kind of the vulnerable people and having vaccines, etc., is that across England at the moment, if you look at, we know that 83% of all the deaths that occurred from COVID were over the age of 70. A large number of the extra deaths over and above those were the clinically vulnerable. And both groups now, so those over 70 and clinically vulnerable, for several weeks have had 90% of all of those have actually had 2 doses of the vaccine. So the majority of those are fully vaccinated, because there'll be some people in those age groups who cannot be vaccinated, some people who choose not to be vaccinated.
Clearly, so we've heard that obviously the government, in terms of trying to keep everyone sweet, hang on for another 4 weeks while we kind of vaccinate lots more people. They want to vaccinate people in their 40s, give them their second dose much earlier. They want to try and vaccinate more younger people too. So is there the infrastructure and the supply to do that, do you think?
Well, you would hope that the infrastructure is there, because they've made this promise now for the next 4 weeks. So we're not really seeing a mass rise in the number of people going into hospital now. In the Northwest is where we've seen this explosion of the Delta variant, and it's starting to spread out across the country. But if you look across England, all the cases with the highest rates are all in the Northwest, and it's still pretty relatively low COVID across the country. And I think Chris Whitty yesterday was talking about the rise in hospitalisations in the Northwest. Now, they are up, but they've come from a really low number, and there's about 300 patients in beds in the Northwest at the moment, and that's down from over 4,000 that we saw at the height of the pandemic. I think a really interesting statistic, Asma, is that, and we'll get an update on this in a couple of hours from the Office for National Statistics, is the total number of deaths in England and in Wales and in Scotland and Northern Ireland now, they've been below average for over 2 months. So we were way over the second wave a few months back. The concern, obviously, is that if you can vaccinate more younger people, what that will do is, because we know the vaccine will help reduce the spread of it, that may then stop some older people who have been vaccinated, but it doesn't give you full protection. It might save some deaths there. But I think it's a difficult balancing act, because we have to accept the virus is here to stay. We've got, over the last year, we've had latest numbers out today from ONS this morning, that over 500,000 people have lost jobs. The number of people with mental health issues has doubled, so there's up to 10 million people now ONS are reporting with mental health issues. And we're seeing at the moment more deaths per day from other causes, for example, flu, pneumonia, suicide, than we are from COVID. So it's only so long the public can stomach these restrictions when the deaths are so low.